Interview with the Vampire.
Ladies and gentlemen, your host for the 67th Annual Academy Awards, David Letterman.
You know, someone once said that acting is the enchanted wand that turns words into magic. Thankfully, we've had that person dragged out to the parking lot and beaten. I'm talking about words like, I could have been a contender. Here's looking at you, kid. Life is like a box of chocolates. All shining examples of how a few simple words become cinematic legend. It's another blockbuster year for Hollywood. The motion picture Interview with the Vampire did over $100 million business, over $100 million business. Of course, now, in New York City, for marketing purposes, that movie was released under the title Bite Me. Hey, it's older. You know, I know that's not much of a joke, but I just thought it might be fun in front of 1 billion people to say, bite me.
Our category this evening is original score.
It was original score, but it has now been changed. I don't know if you possibly weren't listening to the chap from the Academy in the wings there, but this category has been slightly altered this year, ladies and gentlemen, and it now goes, let me get this right, Best Original Score or Performance by a British Actor in a Fluffy Romantic Comedy set in the south of England.
Oh, Hugh, honey, you're bitter.
No, not bitter. I'm not bitter. I'm not in the least bitter. I'm just interested in the way it's done. And
the nominees are Elliot Goldenthal for Interview with the Vampire.
Hi, I'm Neil Jordan, and I'm here to introduce Interview with the Vampire, a movie about the saddest vampires you'll ever see.
I wanted Interview with the Vampire to be a departure. I wanted to, first of all, I always thought the vampire was the interesting one, and I wanted to know what went on behind the scenes. So I wanted it to be a departure. I wanted you to fall in love with the vampire and see things through his eyes.
Interview with the Vampire, as every good story, probably had 50 versions, you know, that you can do. And I don't think you're going to find one as solid and as well done and serious with the material as the movie that we did.
I was sitting one night in my office at home in Berkeley. I was completely unpublished and unknown, and it occurred to me, what if you could interview a vampire? What if you could get that vampire to sit down and tell you what being a vampire was like? What if he would tell you everything? What it was like to drink blood, whether or not he suffered a swoon when he drank blood, what it was like to be immortal. I just decided it would be fun to do it. So I wrote a short story called Interview with the Vampire, and I kept it for about 2 years. And then I pulled it out while I was working on a collection of short stories, and I started to work on it. And it just took off. I really wanted to make it. That was the main thing. And David Geffen, as far as I know, became the real hero of Interview with the Vampire. He decided that he was going to get this thing made, and he was going to draw all the elements together.
You know, I use the books as a reference for me, and you know, you have to read them, especially Interview with the Vampire, because it's from Louis' point of view. You have to read it very carefully to find the clues to who Lestat is.
Nominees for Best Achievement in Art Direction are
Interview with the Vampire. Art direction by Dante Ferretti, set decoration by Francesca Lo Schiavo.
Oh, that was so good the way you said that.
A vampire.
Why? Vampire. You know, I grew up watching Creature Feature. Did anyone watch that Creature Feature, you know, on Fright Night? And I used to watch it, actually, with my father and my mother, and when they were out on Saturday nights with my sisters. And I just love scary movies, and I've had a fascination with vampires. And I like the book Interview with the Vampire, and it just sounded like it's a great character. It's a really fun character to play, so I'm looking forward to it.
Why always on this night?
What night? What do you mean?
You always give me a doll on the same night of the year.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Tom Cruise plays the immortal vampire Lestat in Interview with the Vampire, one of the new movies we're going to be reviewing this week on Siskel and Ebert. And also, I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times.
And I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune. Our first film is the eagerly awaited Interview with the Vampire, and now it's finally time to Put aside the controversy, the author of the book, Anne Rice, originally complaining about the casting of Tom Cruise, then reversing herself. Oprah Winfrey walking out during the first reel because of the blood. And now, I haven't really shown you the best part of Interview with a Vampire, and that's the production design of the French location.
All right, everyone, let's give it up for Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman. Interview with the Vampire, the world premiere.
Here are the nominees.
Breakthrough performance.
I lost my heart.
Kirsten Dunst, Interview with the Vampire.
All right, the winner for breakthrough performance is Kirsten Dunst. Kirsten Dunst.
I said, Burr, it's cold in here.
All right, is this a show now? You
Oh,
can
wow.
start? Wow.
Oh.
Kirsten Dunst, welcome
Thanks,
to my
Peter.
office.
Thank
and
you.
To Off the Cuff. I know it's been your dream.
It's always my dream. You know,
It's
I'm
just-
a big fan.
I brought this for Bane in honor of you having your breakthrough performance in Interview with the Vampire.
Oh.
You probably don't.
They show Interview with the Vampire during Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
Kirsten, I loved you in Interview with the Vampire.
Thank you.
Brilliant. I've never seen a vision nor heard a secret
Okay.
that would damn or save my soul.
And of course, I have no power over who plays Lestat. None whatsoever.
You don't, you can't
No.
call any of the decisions on casting?
No, I really can't. It's all under the control of David Geffen and Warner Brothers, and I talk to them all the time now, and we're buddies again after I accepted the movie and liked the movie and wanted to say so. But really, there's no control. Sometimes I think there's no one controlling the movie, you know, except some sort of poltergeist. I mean, even the director doesn't get what he wants in the way of casting. It's so much a corporate thing. And of course, that gave us one movie that I liked very much, Interview with the Vampire, but I think we were very fortunate there to have a good director and that Tom Cruise, being the top star he is, actually read the books.
We have facts from an Anne Rice freak, Sarah Kringle. She says, "Dear Anne, I love both the book and the movie of Interview with a Vampire very much."
We face a mystery. It's all owned from the original contract written many years ago. All the vampires are under the control of David Geffen before my eyes. And even though I loved Interview with the Vampire, that certainly wasn't my version of Interview. That was theirs.
Vampire book, Interview with a Vampire, which was written near 20 years ago. At the end of that book, the vampires believe there is no God.
That's right.
There is no ultimate meaning to life's anguish.
That's right. But at the time I wrote Interview with the Vampire, certainly I was in a deep despair.
Thrilled with reading novels, unless they're really special. As a matter of fact, there is one series of novels that I've just read that are really interesting. I actually tried to buy the rights to them to make a film out of it.
Yeah.
It's called The Vampire Chronicles by Anne Rice.
Yeah.
Vampire Lestat, Interview with a Vampire, and Queen of the Damned.
Yeah.
Now, like I say, I don't usually read novels, but this was really captivating.
We're back. Tonight, Anne Rice's first novel, Interview with the Vampire, comes to the big screen. And if audiences like it as much as the author and the critics do, it should be a major hit. Joining us in New York to talk about the book, the movie, and the dark underworld of witches and vampires, which she's created, is author Anne Rice. Good to have you with us, Anne. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Larry.
Why are you into this?
Why
are you into this crazy with the blood and the
Why am
vampire?
I into it? I'm like most fantasy writers. This is the way I write about reality. And
This is the way you see reality.
Yes, when I become a vampire or a witch, or when I write about that subject, I'm able to write about good and evil and guilt and pain and death and life in a way that I can't when trying to write realistically, quote unquote.
Have you tried?
Oh yeah, for years I tried to write realism, and it was very artificial to me. And when I discovered, when I happened onto this idea of interviewing a vampire and letting him speak, my whole world opened up. And also I was invited over and over again to get involved again with Interview with the Vampire. David Geffen, who's really the man responsible for this film, invited me to write the script.
Will we, if we didn't read your book, will we be seeing your book?
Oh yes, without question.
No question.
Very, very faithful adaptation of the script I wrote, very, very faithful adaptation of the book. I mean, you could walk in, off the street and you would know this was Interview with the Vampire. If you'd read it 15 years ago and barely remembered it, you'd recognize it.
Our guest is Anne Rice, and opening tonight is Interview with the Vampire. We're We're back with Anne Rice. The film Interview with the Vampire opens today, and the book Taltos is a major bestseller. There you see its cover. Let's go to some calls for Anne Rice, then to Columbia, Maryland. Hello.
Hi. I read Interview with the Vampire, I believe, when I was 13.
Wow.
And
My opinion in pop culture? Well, I think the vampire is one of the most flexible and deeply romantic figures you can use in pop culture. And as everybody knows, really fine vampire stories and movies tend to be much larger than their parts. I mean, look at Dracula. You know, there are endless ways to do Dracula. And Interview with the Vampire, for me, was a door to reality. So I'm a great respecter of the vampire in popular art. You know, now Interview with the Vampire is going to change everything this weekend one way or another. It's either going to be a big hit or it's not. And the way to the witching hour depends on that. David Geffen owns the rights to that novel, and I have a great deal of confidence in him as a person who will just back something with all his force. This is a very rare thing to happen, to love, you know, a movie based on your book. An Interview with the Vampire is a very weird book.
It's rare to have an author love a film.
And it's weird to have a film like this in the mainstream. It's incredible. This is one of the happiest nights of my life. I mean, I'm kind of dazed. I don't believe it's really opening wide all over America.
You deserve it, Anne. You're a straight-up lady with a lot of talent, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you. Anne Rice. The new book is Taltos. The film is Interview with the Vampire. She will not need a benefit.
I have never seen a vision nor learned a secret that would damn or save my soul.